God forbid AEW has a bad rating, you never hear the end of it. Why can't we talk about the good? When will this former narrative end? Didn't work out in WWE. They're not allowed to go to AEW because they were part of the competition. AEW should not be criticized anymore for taking former WWE stars. What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best one, Donnie here, back with a brand new episode of Hot Takes, where I give you guys my hot takes on things going on in the professional wrestling world. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac already and you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast, give us a 5-star review, not just any review, a best one review, and download the episode and give us a follow. But if you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac already, over on the YouTube channel where you get the best pro wrestling content, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, we recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO, and of course you already know the grind is real. And just a couple things before we get into this episode of Hot Takes. If you guys want to support the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel, we just created a new channel for clips that we're going to be posting more short form content over there on the We Are Wrestling Clips YouTube channel. So if you guys want to go subscribe to that and support that channel, it'll be the first link down in the description box below. So now with that being said, let's get into Hot Takes, because it's been a minute since we've last talked. And my goal for 2025 is to give you guys hot takes twice a month. And this is one of my favorite series to do here on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel, because this is my way of expressing my opinion, whether or not it's popular or not. And that is why it's called a hot take. You can agree, you can disagree, but this is my way of just expressing how I feel about a certain hot topic going on in the professional wrestling world. I know I have a We Are Wrestling podcast, which we do live every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but this is just you and me. And that is where I get to just express how I feel without being interrupted, and I love having that power. The fire. So, with that being said now, this week's episode of Hot Takes, I want to talk about AEW and WWE. Because if you guys are new to the channel, I cannot stand tribalism when it comes to professional wrestling. I really don't understand why all these pro wrestling fans try to make all of this into a war and just can't enjoy wrestling for what it is. Because that's the thing about being a wrestling fan. We all see pro wrestling through a different lens. What I might enjoy is something that you might not enjoy, and vice versa. There's some people that enjoy the soap opera, the sports entertainment, the larger-than-life characters, while there's some that really appreciate the professional wrestling that happens in the ring. And that's the thing about WWE and AEW that is different. WWE is sports entertainment. What they get for viewers are the people who are interested in storylines, storytelling, which for me, I always enjoy the storytelling aspect of professional wrestling the most, but AEW focuses more on the art of professional wrestling, what happens in that mat. And I've always seen the difference between the two. I enjoy both AEW and WWE. But with the whole tribalism and the IWC always going back and forth, sometimes I think it's bullshit. Some of the things that AEW or WWE fans get away with. Because it's like, if AEW does something and WWE does it, people still criticize AEW, and to me, that is hypocritical. I don't like that, because for me, as a wrestling content creator, as a wrestling podcaster, I call it like I see it. If there's something I don't like in WWE, I will call it out. If there's something I like in WWE, I will point out the positives. Something that I feel like a lot of these wrestling journalists and podcasters and even fans need to do better with in 2025. Because I feel like we're always talking about the negative stuff that is happening, but never the positive. And with AEW being around, I think if it wasn't for AEW being around, WWE would not be at their A game right friggin' now. AEW has created an ultimatum for these professional wrestlers that are putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment. It gives them another option. There's more money to be made by these larger-than-life superstars that are putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment. And when it's all said and done, my disclaimer here is I like when wrestlers move around. And the reason I enjoy that is because of 5 reasons. And starting off, my first reason is change of scenery. I love seeing a star who's maybe not getting the right opportunities, maybe where they're working, go somewhere else and prove to the other promotion that I'm worth more than what you thought I am. And that's the thing with change of scenery, it makes things more exciting. Because that's the thing, I love when there's WWE guys that leave and go to AEW, and we get that surprise debut, even though sometimes the creative process isn't as good as we want it to be. And the same thing can be said, I love seeing AEW guys go over to WWE. It just spices things up, it makes things interesting for me as a fan, it keeps me on my toes, and it keeps me tuned into the product. And sometimes you need to have a change of scenery, because having the same people doing the same thing over and over again, it gets boring, it gets repetitive. Another reason, reinventing yourself. A lot of the times when a superstar leaves their company that they're working for, sometimes they go out and they reinvent themselves and they get their stock up as a professional wrestler, to where when their contract expires with another promotion, they are setting themselves up for bigger success. And we've seen that happen a lot with these AEW stars that are going to WWE. Well, WWE guys that weren't being used properly by the old owner, Vince McMahon, and then either getting released or letting their contract run out, they go to AEW because the money's right, they're getting the opportunity, and they're able to build their stock up to where in a couple years, they're able to go back to WWE, making more money, being in a better position than they once were when they were first in the WWE. So reinventing yourself is something that's huge. We've seen it work for guys like Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre and even Matt Cardona, who have gone out and they have betted on themselves and they put themselves in better situations than they were. And you might be asking me, why am I mentioning Matt Cardona? He hasn't come back to WWE. And the reason I'm mentioning Cardona is because he's even said it on multiple podcast interviews, Major Wrestling Figure podcast. He said it. He's making more money right now than he was in the WWE. And there's a lot of guys who have been released by that promotion who are making more being a free agent, because you have more creative freedom, you're able to get more opportunities. And having that WWE name under your belt gives you those opportunities, but it's a matter of time of if you're going to go out there and reinvent yourself. And that is what Matt Cardona, Drew McIntyre, and Cody Rhodes have done throughout their careers. Another reason I love when pro wrestlers do leave their promotions, a fresh start. And there's nothing better than a fresh start. Somebody that you're just so frustrated that creative is not giving you what you want because you're a big fan of that superstar and they're not living up to that potential and they're not being used properly. So then they go somewhere else and they give themselves a fresh start and you become more interested in what they're doing. And that's something that I feel like a lot of wrestlers that do leave companies, they get to do, is have a fresh start. And sometimes you just need that, because doing the same thing over and over again, it does get repetitive after a while. And I think that's why with like Becky Lynch, for example, she took a break from the WWE. I know she wanted to take time off to focus on her family more, which absolutely deserves it, because she's sacrificing her body for our entertainment, being on the road 300 plus days. But also, she's done everything she could in her WWE career. So taking this time off, it's going to give her that fresh coat of paint when she decides to come back sometime in 2025. And it's going to make us pro wrestling fans excited, something to look forward to. The fourth reason, working with new stars. Because if you're working for the same company over and over and over again, there's only so many people that are on that roster. And after a while, sometimes you're not going to be able to get that dream match that you get to play on WWE 2K. And getting somebody that leaves the promotion, like, for example, one of the names that I do want to talk about here is Cody Rhodes. He went out and reinvented himself, and when he decided to sign with AEW, there was a lot of fans who were disappointed because they wanted to have those Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns matches. They wanted to see Cody and Seth go at it. And like they just wanted Cody to go against these guys in dream matches. And a lot of names that get mentioned a lot is Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. There's so many dream matches that a lot of WWE fans want to see with them. And that's why I like when people leave, because you get to work with new stars. Because of course you're going to have your Randy Ortons and John Cena's and Undertakers who stay loyal to the WWE. And you have homegrown AEW stars who are going to stay loyal to their promotion. So having some of these guys leave, you get really cool matchups. And that's one thing I love about a free agent, is that you do get different opportunities. It's fun to fantasy book. And my fifth reason, more money. Because at the end of the day, that's what this business is all about, is making money and just creating defining moments. And that's the thing. With AEW being around, with WWE, with all of these promotions being around, succeeding, it's giving these independent contractors more opportunities, which means more money. Because a lot of the times when WWE didn't have competition, they would lowball their big stars, which would lead to them going to the competition, whether it was WCW or TNA or now AEW. This has given these independent contractors an opportunity to make more money. So now let's get into why I'm talking about this on Hot Takes. And one thing I can't stand about the IWC, about the pro wrestling fans, is this tribalism. You have to pick one side. You have to be a WWE fan or you have to be an AEW fan. You can't enjoy both. And one thing I don't like, and I feel like it's not fair, is in the pro wrestling world, yes, I'm not a fan of Tony Khan's booking decisions, probably 80% of the time. But when it's all said and done, I feel like there's a lot of fans who do play favoritism when it comes to WWE and AEW. I think there's fans out there that think, oh, it's the cool thing to roast AEW and to hate on them. Whenever you hear a rating come out for WWE, there's never a problem. And I expressed my frustrations multiple times on Twitter with NXT ratings when they were down for a little while, and nobody would trash it. But it's AEW, God forbid, AEW has a bad rating, you never hear the end of it, and I think that that's absolutely hypocritical. As a wrestling content creator, as a wrestling podcaster, and just as an individual, I like to call the bullshit out when I see it. If there's something I don't like in the WWE, I will say it. If there's something I like that the WWE is doing, I will call it out, and I think that that's something in 2025 moving forward, I think we need to start doing more, because in the IWC, everything is so freaking toxic and negative. We need some more positivity when it comes to pro wrestling. Why aren't we always talking about the bad? Why can't we talk about the good? And with AEW, I just think it's not fair that AEW does something, they get shit on, but then when WWE is doing the same thing, there's never a problem because it's the WWE. And my problem is that AEW should not be criticized anymore for taking former WWE stars. Because one thing that I'm noticing in this Triple H era is WWE is starting to do the same thing as AEW. Because there was a time in AEW where they were signing a lot of these former WWE stars who were either let go or their contracts expired. And everybody made it into such a big deal. And I think that that's not fair. I think it's absolute bullshit. When somebody leaves AEW to go to WWE, nobody is acting the same way as if somebody from WWE is going over to AEW. And they act like it's the worst thing in the world. And I think that that's not fair at all. I feel like AEW should not be criticized for this anymore. And the reason why, I have the signed WWE stars who were homegrown AEW stars. And this doesn't include Cody Rhodes, Andrade, Miro, who's going to be coming back soon, Malachi Black, who will be returning soon, CM Punk. It doesn't count any of them because they worked for WWE previously. But let's get into some of the homegrown AEW stars who have now joined WWE without getting criticized, unlike AEW. Starting off, we have Jade Cargill, and she's somebody who left AEW for WWE because of more exposure, and she said that in her interview. Another person, Ethan Page, which when I'm saying these names, I'm not bursting their bubble. I want these wrestlers at the end of the day to be successful and to be used properly. And Ethan Page is somebody who wasn't being used right in AEW. And that's why in the beginning of this, my disclaimer was I like when wrestlers move around. I'm just pointing out the obvious here, because if you're going to get mad about a WWE star who you enjoyed going over to the competition, going over to AEW, and you're going to shit on that, but you're not going to shit on the people that are leaving AEW for WWE, then you're being absolutely hypocritical. Ethan Page is somebody. Brian Pillman Jr., who right now in NXT is going as Lexus King, absolutely killing it right now. Shawn Spears, which the reason I had to put Shawn Spears in this category is he's doing the same gimmick that he did in AEW as the chairman. And I will say, with all these names, they all had the right to go over to WWE. And it's the same thing that could be said about AEW, and I'll get into that in just a minute. Gigi Dolan, she was somebody who worked with AEW in the beginning and eventually went over to WWE. Penta, one of the new hottest stars on the Raw brand. Dragon Lee, and the new guy, Ricky Starks, who just left AEW and went over to NXT less than 24 hours. See, my problem is not any of these stars leaving, jumping ship. I love a change of scenery. I gave you guys 5 reasons why I love when pro wrestlers leave. But it's the fact that when WWE guys went over to AEW, it's a problem. And I think that that's not fair, because a lot of these stars who were once in WWE that went over to AEW, the reason they did it is they weren't being used properly. There was a time in WWE where, man, there was only a handful of people that succeeded in the system with Vince McMahon running it. And that's the thing, just because Andrade, Miro, Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, Keith Lee, these talented professional wrestlers who are larger than life, didn't work out in WWE, they're not allowed to go to AEW because they were part of the competition. That's bullshit. That's not fair, because at the end of the day, as a pro wrestling fan, we should want what's best for these larger-than-life stars. Because at the end of the day, they're putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment. And I know I'm a broken record when I say that, but I feel like that goes unnoticed. But that's what I want to know, though. When will this former narrative end? But guys, let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on all of this, because with hot takes, I just love to just go on a rant about an unpopular opinion. But I feel like it's time that we start questioning WWE here, because they're signing these AEW stars away, and pretty soon, I have a feeling we're going to start to see WWE guys leave, because there's only so many spots you have on your roster that you can fill. And I don't want them to go to AEW and then they get shit on. I think that that's not fair. But if you guys enjoyed this episode of Hot Takes and you guys want this series back with more episodes, smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac here already, recommend you guys to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. The link's down in the description below. You can go follow We Are Wrestling over on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. All the links down below. Also, we have a brand new YouTube channel for our short form content, which is We Are Wrestling Clips. We'll be posting over there daily pretty soon, so if you guys want to subscribe to that, all the links down in the description box below. But of course, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there, we are taking over. Peace.